Hey everyone, sorry how that last video ended. The screen capture tool that I use only allows me to go up to 15 minutes per video, and I thought I was keeping track of my time well, but obviously I wasn't. So hopefully where I left off was that we can change from uh, areas that have that don't need a lot of detail to with this being able to zoom into high detail areas without having to then change our drawings at all, because this is static and stays as it is, and uh, and then this is our window that we are seeing just that part to. So, and then this is how I talk about how AutoCAD is I can pan around it, and these are, this location can actually be geo-referenced. These drawings are geo-referenced. If you're working on a small project, you don't have to have geo-reference, but just like Google Earth here is in Google Earth, I can start really far out, and then I can, with my left mouse cursor, I can pan around, and then with the zoom, I can zoom in or out with the middle wheel button. And so let's say I wanted to scroll here into the school. So here's the college campus, and then I can zoom in to the greenhouse. And so you can see how smooth I can do a combination of pan and zoom and move my way around the drawing. I can then come over here to Disneyland, and I can zoom in and pan and tilt and so on and so forth. AutoCAD's the same way. It's a little different key command. So in AutoCAD, take note of this, is that the left mouse is click button is for selection. So if I'm using my left mouse button, if I use that, I am selecting something. So I come in here, and if I want to select this object, I left click on it. If I press the left mouse button and hold it, not just click it, but hold it, and then I move my mouse, now this is a selection. So now it selects multiple objects, anything within that polygon shape. So if I click and hold the left mouse button, that's a selection. Or if I just click it, single click down and up, then I just select that one item. Now with the center mouse wheel, is if I press the wheel and hold it there, now you can see the little hand pops up on screen. Now that allows me to move my mouse and pan around the drawing. So then when I release, done. So essentially then I get into a command where I'm over here and I click the center mouse wheel, and then I drag my mouse, and then I let go. And then I click it and hold it again, and I drag my mouse until I'm done and stop. And then I can then take the center mouse wheel and scroll out or scroll in. And that's just the different direction of which way I turn the mouse button. And then finally, the right mouse button is going to bring up the contextual right click that's typical in Windows, so I can cut, copy with base point, paste. There's a whole bunch of different things that we can do in here. So if I select it, I can do block it. When I select on a block, for example, it gives me extra items that you'll learn later on. So those are what your 3 mouse buttons do. And so this AutoCAD is what I would say is most similar to, you want to be almost like if you were playing video games, where it becomes a reflex, not something you have to think about. It just, once you do it enough, is you just then know what buttons. You don't even think about what buttons you're pushing. You're just telling your brain what you want to do, and your body automatically does what it needs to do to have that without you thinking about which buttons. So when I'm going through, I don't think about what tasks I'm doing. I just now do it, which actually makes it harder for me to teach, because I actually have to, if I do something and I want to tell you guys what I'm doing, I really have to then concentrate on what I'm actually doing, what buttons I'm pressing, because I don't actually think about it now. It's just a reflex. So I do not want to save this because I made changes. So I'm in here. So we did a little bit last time. I asked you guys to see if you guys could play with Polyline. I'm going to go more in depth now on Polyline. And so we're going to start here on the command line. You don't actually have to always, some people come down here and they click on the command line. You do not need to actually come down and click on the command line. Wherever you are, you just type, I'm over here, and it knows to put that in the command line. One thing, my cursor might look a little different. I know sometimes here you might have this dynamic input where it tells you all this information. That just kind of bugs me. So there's this dynamic input mode. I turn it off. If you don't have this down below, you can hit the 3 bars and then make it, to make it show up, you select it that there's a check mark, and then you can toggle on and off those features. So again, if I want to do a polyline, PL for polyline, you can see what AutoCAD now does is a whole bunch of different recommendations for what PL command you might do. So you could type in all the way P-line, and you would have a polyline, but it takes longer to write P-line. So PL will give me polyline. And I can choose a starting point. So let's say I can just click where I want it to begin. And if I'm drawing a straight line, or an actual line, not a curve, then I don't need to do anything else. Wherever I want it to end, I just click my end point. And then if I wanted it to end there, I hit escape, and that completes the command. Again, so PL for polyline, click my starting point, drag it to wherever I want to go. Now I'm going to go off to the side here, click my next point with my left button, mouse button, and then if I want to draw another line, another vertice on this polyline, I can come drag my cursor wherever I want to go, and with my left mouse button, I can click again. And then when I'm done, I hit escape. So now with Polyline, so PL and then return is then if I wanted it to start at a specific coordinate, let's say 0, 0, 0. So 0, 0, 0 is the x coordinate is 0, the y coordinate is 0, and the z coordinate is 0. As soon as I then hit enter, that is where these x and y cross starts. And then I can drag it wherever I want. And I'm just using my left mouse button to put in the vertices, and then I hit escape. Now, with my left mouse button, if I hover over the line, now you can see all the vertices, and these are the midpoints of the vertices. So if I want to then move it after I drew the line, I grab the square box of the vertice and I relocate. Same thing, left mouse button, I clicked on it, now I drag it where I want it. If I select the midpoint, then it moves that whole line part, both vertices of that line. So now we're gonna Polyline PL, enter. I'm gonna click my first point, and then you can see here, down here it says A for arc, H for half width, L for length, U for undo, and W for width. So these are actually subcommands within here. So let's say I wanted, instead of to draw a straight line, I wanted to draw an arc. So I could type arc, or I can type A because it's the blue capitalized letter. So I'm going to just type A. Doesn't need to be capitalized. And now it gives me a whole, now that under the arc command, now I can do angle, center, direction, half width, line, radius, second point. So now I have an arc here, and I can draw the second point on it, or the end point, I should say, of that arc. Here's the midpoint of it. I could adjust it. So again, Polyline, enter. Now I want to draw an arc, so A. Now let's say I don't like how that arc is coming out. If I hit S for second, so S and then enter, now I can place that midpoint of the arc wherever I want. So that's where I clicked right there. So then that becomes my midpoint. And then using my left mouse button again, I can then click the endpoint of the arc. And then it uses the same second point for the next version of the arc. So if I like that, I can then click it again with my left mouse button. But let's say I don't like that second mouse point. I want to change it. I hit second, S for second, enter, and then click my new second point. Come around, draw my end point of it. And then let's say I want to go back to drawing a straight line. I hit L for line, and then that takes me back to a line. And then left button click. And then let's say I wanted to close this to make it into a polygon. So you can see down here there's a CL for close. So CL, and then that closes it. When you select it, you can